day 2 of the cut, or mini cut, whatever you want to call it. And I'm finally back to doing 2-a-day sessions, which is exciting. It's very exciting for me. So this is session number 1 of today. I'll be doing back, or rear delts and back technically, and then I'll be coming back tonight and we'll just be hitting side delts and biceps. So that's the plan of action. Basically kind of returning to the roots of my 2-a-day split that I was doing back in Australia before I came over here, where I'm doing 6 days a week, 2 sessions a day, just splitting the total training volume of a single daily session up over 2 smaller sessions. So even though I'm training 12 times a week or 2 times a day, 6 days a week, don't freak out thinking, whoa, isn't that too much to recover from? Isn't that too much volume? Because I'm doing 2 to 3 exercises per session. So it's a very short bout of training each time I'm in the gym. And honestly, the volume equated for, if you're doing the same total amount of volume each day of the week, but over 2 smaller sessions, split over AM and PM sessions, your recoverability is going to be a lot better. It's going to be far superior to doing 1 session a day. And a large factor contributing to that is the fact that you're not accumulating as much fatigue from the training itself. You're getting the same amount of total stimulus that you get from doing all of that daily training in a single session, but splitting it up over 2 smaller sessions throughout the day, you actually accumulate less systemic fatigue over time, so you're able to stretch out accumulation phases a little bit longer, get less junk volume, and just perform at a slightly higher level in all exercises. And so you can kind of, I at least find personally, I can stretch a mesocycle out an additional 1 to 2 weeks before I have to have a deload. So it's worthwhile for me. And now that I'm getting a little bit older, my recovery isn't as good as it used to be when I was in my early 20s or mid 20s, but not making excuses, I'm still getting it done. Although even if I'm using assistance, which I obviously do and am, my recovery is still not that great. And it's just a reality of getting older, unfortunately. And it's not a matter of hanging the towel up as you get older or using it as a scapegoat to not train. You just got to be more strategic and more methodical with your planning. Although, in saying that too, even when I was younger, I still preferred training 2 times a day because I just found, like I said, recovery was better. And the amount of fatigue I accumulated was less. And although it wasn't a necessity then, like it kind of is now, it was a preference then. Anyway, I'm going to do reverse pec deck flies for the rear delts, just 3 my rep match sets, and then it'll be on to back. I've got 3 back exercises: the hoist, neutral grip pull down, the seated cab row with the lat pull down handle attachment. It's like a wide kind of over end grip to kind of target the mid upper back, and just rowing a little bit higher toward the top of my sternum as opposed to down toward my waist like I would for say more of a lat bias row. And then after that, doing the old school, old fashioned T-bar rows, because sometimes the old school shit's the best. And I just really enjoy it, and my back development will benefit a lot from it. People might argue you don't get as much of a shortening of the muscle, like a peak contraction, because your torso gets in the way before you can fully shorten the muscles. But we know that the stretch under load is the biggest contributor to growth, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if I'm accounting for that by having other movements in my training which allow for a greater range of motion, which I am. So I'm still loading the back in that peak contracted position on other exercises out throughout the session, and that's all that matters. Like, you don't have to optimize every exercise in terms of the range of motion. Like, every exercise doesn't need to get you a full contraction and a full stretch of the muscle. As long as throughout the course of your week of training, you're targeting each muscle in a fully contracted position and in a fully stretched position, that's what ultimately matters at the end of the day. So, yeah, enough chatting. Time to get into it. I'll do 1 warm-up set and then I'll get on with it. I have to say my energy levels are a lot better during the day training. Seat feels too low. Nothing crazy for the warm-up set, just 85 pound for 10 or so reps. Working weight will be 145 today though. My legs are still feeling it from yesterday, I'll tell you that. Alright, set number 1. The one doing these, I could probably produce a little bit more force in the concentric and get to that big contraction a little bit easier, but if I do, it's likely that I'll incorporate a lot more upper back into it. And I'm trying to limit the amount of upper back involvement to try and maximize the rear delt involvement. Because when we're targeting the rear delts, we want to focus more on the horizontal abduction rather than the actual retraction. Because if we get into too much retraction and protraction throughout the reverse fly, then we're going to get a lot more back involvement as opposed to the rear delt involvement. You've got to think about the action of the rear delts itself. The action of the rear delts being abduction at the shoulder. If we're doing anything other than that, we're kind of incorporating more synergistic muscles into the exercise, and that's not what we really want to do. If I wanted to do this for like my upper back, for example, then that's a different story. If I wanted to do reverse flies for the upper back, then I would be getting more protraction, retraction throughout the movement, but that's not the priority or the target of this exercise for the session, so yeah. Got a little bit of acid reflux at the minute. I think I had my breakfast a little bit too close to training. I mean, it's quite late. It's technically like the early afternoon. However, I've been waking up quite late, going to bed quite late lately, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that, of course, being an online coach, working with people all around the world, your time zone kind of gets a little bit messed up over time because you're working with people in America, Canada, the UK, Australia. You get the idea. So a multitude of different time zones starting to impact your circadian rhythm and schedule. It just kind of happens over time. That combined with the fact that when I was bulking, obviously I was eating over 1,000 grams of carbs per day. Now that I've started my mini cut, it's a lot easier to get my food in, so I'm finding I'm not staying up until 2 a.m. even on nights where I don't have work to do, just finishing food essentially. So now that I'm only, I say only, but now that I'm only on 750 grams of carbs a day in the mini cut, it's a lot easier for me to get my food finished before midnight. But I should probably touch on that. So mini cut starting macros started yesterday. Yesterday was the first day of the mini cut macros. I've already dropped a few pounds overnight, and they are 350 protein, 750 carb, and 50 fat. So that's my starting macros for the deficit, or aggressive-ish deficit. My cardio has been increased by 10 minutes per day, so instead of 30 minutes in the morning fasted, it's 40 minutes in the morning fasted. we've introduced some lipolytics, so I've got 40 micrograms of clenbuterol in mix and 5 milligrams of yohimbine. And we're essentially just running that, and we'll make adjustments reactively on a needs basis. However, knowing my metabolism and knowing my ability to progress due to my training effort and whatnot, it wouldn't surprise me if we probably only need to make one, or at the absolute most 2 adjustments over the course of the next 6 to 10 weeks in the deficit. Yeah, there you are. Set number 3. Tell you what, this Bangkok pollution is fucked. Absolutely fucked. The amount of congestion I get from all of the pollution is pretty ridiculous. So, first back exercise of the session, first of the 3 back exercises going down. We've got 3 sets of this, 3 sets of the next one, and then 2 sets of the final back exercise. And the reason for that is the final back exercise being the unsupported T-bar row. It's the most homeostatically disruptive. It has the most, or causes the most raw stimulus magnitude. Therefore, I want to limit the total amount of work done on that exercise by just prioritizing a better stimulus fatigue ratio. And the way I do that is essentially just doing more work and more total sets, more volume on the less homeostatically disruptive, less fatiguing exercises that still yield a decent amount of stimulus per effective rep. Yeah, 3 of these, and onto the overhand cable row. Let's get some music going, I think. I forgot how much I liked 1,000-foot crutch, but I recently stumbled across them again. Now, a question that I get asked quite often in regards to training is how many exercises should I perform per body part or per muscle group? And it really does depend a little bit in regards to which muscle group it is you're training. For example, biceps or triceps, they have a pretty limited number of actions, anatomically speaking, whereas you look at something like the back, for example, it's a lot more complex. So for those more complex muscle groups like back or chest, I think 2 to 3 exercises is a good rule of thumb. 2 to 3 exercises per session, assuming you're training 1 to 2 times a week. And as the frequency at which you hit a body part goes up, the number of total movements you do per session should typically go down. Generally speaking though, 2 to 3 exercises per bigger muscle group, and then 1 to 2 exercises per smaller muscle group is a good kind of starting point. And then you can adjust from there on a needs basis over time as you collect further data. And by data, I mean training performance, just general progression in regards to your physique, visuals, progress photos, that sort of thing. And over time, you can kind of fine tune it to see what it is. That's a good kind of reference point, good starting point. 2 to 3 exercises per bigger muscle group, 1 to 2 exercises per smaller muscle group, assuming a 1 to 2 times a week training frequency is met. Of course, set number 2. These pants are starting to get a bit loose. 2 days into the mini cut, they're already getting loose. You know what, I just got thinking about training frequency after what I was talking about before, and I mean, does training frequency really matter when it comes to muscle growth? I thought I'd address this. These days it's pretty typical to follow an upper body, lower body split, or a leg push full split where you essentially hit everything twice a week. Although is that actually superior to, say, a traditional bro split? Now, when we look at the research and what the literature says, it seems as though there isn't any superiority in training a muscle more frequently when it comes to muscle growth, provided that total weekly training volume is accounted for, of course. So if you're comparing training a muscle group twice a week with 8 working sets per session versus once a week with 16 working sets per session, there seems to be no superiority or no advantage to training more frequently when it comes to accruing more muscle tissue. However, where it does seem to reign superior is mitigating fatigue. So the more frequently you hit a muscle, the less fatigue you're going to accumulate for a certain given amount of total weekly training volume. So if you were to train a muscle once a week and do 16 to 20 sets in that session, you're going to accumulate far more fatigue, even though you're going to accumulate roughly the same amount of stimulus to drive muscle growth as you would training more frequently with less volume per session. So there is an advantage to splitting your training volume up when it comes to muscle growth, and that is fatigue mitigation, which will allow you to basically push for longer stints without having to or without requiring a deload as frequently. So it does indirectly affect muscle growth in a way, I suppose. However, when we look at it logistically, there is no superiority. So what I'd recommend is finding the maximum frequency that you can recover from for a given body part when it comes to training it, and try to work your frequency toward that over a period of time. So starting with once or twice a week frequency and escalating by adding in an additional training day per week, while also reducing total training volume per session so that the total weekly training volume doesn't change as you're transitioning to that higher frequency training approach. And basically just get to the tipping point, get to the precipice whereby you can train a muscle as frequently without necessarily accumulating as much fatigue. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. 3 sets of these. Quite low on the reps as well. I mean, 8 to 12 reps is what I'm working with on this exercise. And then we'll go a bit higher up on the unsupported T-bar row. Let's get some music happening. I think I got 8 or 9 reps last week, so I'll aim for 9. Pretty sure that was 9. Might have been 10. However, I am pretty certain it was 9. Better try to down before I can get. So 2 more sets of this, and then onto the T-bars. It used to be 4 sets of pull down and 4 sets of row until I added that third movement. However, like I was discussing before, if you increase frequency or increase even exercise number, or the number of exercises, for example, in this case, you need to account for total weekly training volume still. Unless, of course, you're wanting to up the training volume that week, then you might be able to keep the sets the same. However, I wasn't after that. I was just wanting to introduce a third pulling movement without affecting the total weekly training volume or increasing the total training stimulus or fatigue. So in order to do that, I needed to obviously subtract some volume away from pre-existing exercises to make room for that new exercise. Tell you what, the hot weather is it's definitely getting to me. There's currently, if you're not in Thailand, which I'm assuming 99% of people watching this video are not in Thailand, it's probably like 2% of people or 1% of people who are. In Thailand currently there's a heat wave starting, so it'll be quite hot here up until roughly my birthday, to be honest, around mid-May. And that's kind of when the wet season really kicks in, to be honest. So it's like you're trading one kind of suffering for another. Excessive heat for excessive humidity, so and flooding. So it's not really an end to it, but rather just a change in the discomfort. So I'm sweating a lot more than usual. Time for set number 2. Oh. Alright. I don't know how this will go because I think I've set this up right, but it doesn't quite fit on the rack. It was there last time though when I used it, so it must work. Fingers crossed I don't destroy my nuts with the bar sliding out and hitting me. Alright, so I'm just elevating my feet with a bumper plate just to increase the range of motion so I get a little bit more of a stretch at the bottom, because the diameter of the plates is quite large. If I just stand on the ground, I'm not going to get as much of a stretch as I ideally would like to. So by elevating your feet a couple or a few inches, you can just kind of improve the overall profile of the exercise. You might be wondering why I'm only doing 2 sets on this and not 3 like the other exercises. And I kind of alluded to it earlier in the video, or earlier in the session. The main reason is this is going to cause a lot more fatigue per repetition than a chest supported row, a seated cable row, machine pull down. So for that reason, I'm limiting the total number of sets I'm doing, but I'm still doing some of it so I get the benefit that it provides, which more supported rowing variants don't provide, which is that posterior chain element. Right. Now for the worst bit, unloading the bar. I swear unloading the bar is actually worse than doing this movement itself. It's the hardest bit.